Hey, it's a Tuesday. This is still Trekland HQ version 2, and we are live. Banned from Argo, no more. Yeah. R.I.P. Leslie Fish. Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live, number 427. Boof. Yeah, with me, Dr.Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47. And guess what? It's Cyber Monday +1. Just a quick notice. Apparently, T Public is keeping the store-wide sale going. Up to 40% off on all the merch, the housewares, the house goods, and clothing, all of that. And I have a Trekland shop. I've had some people actually had some sales going on this weekend for once. Anyway, that 40% off sale goes through one extra day today. So you can get to my shop through my site, LarryNemechek.com. You're free to do the cameo, but the sale is over. The Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday sale is over. And since, the T Public store is still going, that sale is still happening. The Cyber Monday extended. I'm going to extend one more day. Our buy one seat, get your second person for half off for a Trekland Trek. Your customized away mission to your choice of Star Trek film locations in Southern California. And I'm also going to keep one more day for Portal 47 itself, the biggest sale of the year. It's the upfront beam-in deal. 25% off. You get 9 months. 12 months for the price of 9. And look, if you even want to do QR codes, I'll let you do it. This is scintillating video, I know. There you go. Yes. Cyber Monday +1 deals still happening. Look, did I throw anybody? I hope everyone knows if you're a first-time TTLer, welcome. If you're part of our veteran TTL crew showing up in the chat, yes, this is still Trekland Tuesdays Live. This is still your home for clarity, sanity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek every Tuesday since 2017. Wow. I know. Glad to see everybody here. We're definitely in the holidays. Look, I actually, for the first time in 2 years, got my little holiday tree up. So we're blowing and going. It's fun time in Trek world right now. We're going to talk about that. If you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, please get into the chat. Let us know. You can just let the other chat folks know where you're coming from, what's your weather like there, what's your Trek like there. We're glad to have you here. And if you're just lurking, that's cool. You should know, though, that I hope you're coming into us. I mean, I'm multi-stream, but the best is YouTube. When you're on Facebook, you only get the Facebook comments. When you're on Twitch or YouTube, you're going to see all the comments in the chat. And best of all, when you're in chat on YouTube, if you like, and I would always appreciate it, you can jump in and throw a little silver my way. You can do the super chat. It's about the only way we're monetized aside from my little Patreon here. So I love my Patreon folk, though. I love all the TTLers, and it's fine. Get a conversation going there, because what I'm going to do for those new is talk about my topic, what a thing to do, get off on my soapbox, and then we'll take a mid-break and a very micro small break and come back and we'll do the chat. But if you're watching this later, not live, you're going to miss that chat. But you know what? You can keep the conversation going when you come to this on YouTube. Just leave a comment below. We'd love to have you keep this topic going. I have a feeling I'm going to leave a lot of people going, what? Today. We'll see how that goes. But if you're on YouTube later, I appreciate it so much. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell and do the alert, all those things. Would you please? Really appreciate it. I got into the YouTube game late, and I appreciate it. But as for here now, maybe watching this later, you may be able to join us live over the holidays when you're off work, homesick, hopefully not too bad. Love to have you join us on a Tuesday afternoon. I do it this time of day because that's when I can get the most folks around the world. And sometimes, yes, I even have Aussies and people in Kiwis, maybe. people from East Asia. I know it's in the morning for them, but there you go. Gang, I have a little bit of an offbeat topic today, and it's an RIP. What's odd is I was just at Los Angeles's old school OG LitCon convention. When I say LitCon, I mean, before Star Trek, before Comic-Cons, and certainly before Star Trek, there were science fiction conventions since the 30s. We call it first fandom now, the late 30s. Kind of got interrupted a little bit by World War II, but the first Worldcon, I believe, was in 1938. Maybe even Forey Ackerman was there. I don't know. But yeah, through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, the coming of real space travel, the boom in all scientific discovery, science fiction was there kind of leading the way. And there's the pulp and the sci-fi, but then there's the authors too. Film, screen sci-fi, not so much. Some auspicious beginnings, Metropolis, all of that. RUR for silent movie buffs. And then not so much. Bug-eyed monsters, nuclear, huge insects, all of that. And then we get to modern science fiction on screen, yada, yada. But, until Star Trek, and even the Twilight Zone was a powerful statement, but it was an anthology show and wasn't really anything regular recurring as far as storytelling goes until Star Trek not only changed the landscape of televised science fiction, but also changed the face of fandom. And eventually, yes, Star Trek conventions split off on their own and begat today when Hollywood found the comics, found Marvel and DC in a big way in the aughts. Well, then now the comic cons took over. And somewhere on the way, anime happened and it bled over too. But it was Star Trek that started all this. And at that time, since the 60s, 70s, we didn't even have words for things back then. We didn't have terms like gatekeeping and world building and all these things, negatives and positive, but they're descriptors that we use in our everyday exchanges when we talk about fandom, pop culture, the genre, entertainment, and the audiences that love it both. And we just lost a person that I think I met once in my life. Maybe. I can't exactly remember. In the 80s. I bring this up because it came up on Friday last, as we say. I was at LostCon, LA's old G LitCon, which is, hanging in there down at an LAX area hotel. The 51st LostCon, 52nd LostCon, famously organized and run by LASFUS, the LA Speculative Fiction Society, the old school club, the club that Forey Ackerman built, and Bijo, and so many more here in the LA community. David Gerald being a part of it for years. So many folks being a part of it. Larry Niven still goes. Rick Sternbach is still there. I saw Rick Friday. Good things are coming out of that meetup. But that's the world that Comic-Con fandom and even Trek fandom cons have kind of left behind in many ways, a little slower. Obviously, it's book-oriented, art-oriented, not anything on-screen oriented. Although it's there. We had Starfleet's Region 4 Summit was there, and I was in 3 panels, and I was happy to be there and get back in touch with some of the roots that way. But somewhere along the way, during the day, a name came up, which startled me because I learned last night that, Leslie Fish passed away. Who's Leslie Fish? Most of you are going to say. Well, she was 72. She was apparently in hospice, died just a couple of days ago, November 29th. Basically, Wikipedia, she has a wiki page, and it will say Leslie Fish was an American folk musician, author, anarchist, and political activist. Now, it's amazing because I just thought of her the other day in a conversation talking about filking. And kids, if you don't know what filking was, it's something uniquely fanish in all the ways we use the term fanish. Fanish to distinguish between professional and fan as in amateur, but also fanish as in almost clannish. And I mean with a C, I mean the old good meaning of clannish, as in we are all a community. We're a tribe. And that's what fandom is. That same feeling that when you walk in the door to a con, whether it's your little neighborhood club meeting or it's Trek Vegas, you stand in line 5 minutes, you have 5 friends within half an hour. That's what I mean by fandom and fanish. And crazy enough, a typo in the 50s from folk music to filk music to describe the kind of body and satirical and parody. You know, if what Max Grodinchik does for what he does with his music lyrics, right? If for the Brat Pack, all of that, that's parody lyrics, and sometimes they get a little bawdy. I almost say Max's music is filking with a tux. But that same spirit of tweaking your favorite stories, your favorite movies and TV shows, your favorite stories, things in the news that lean sciencey, the overlaps there. If you could make folk songs into fanish events, fanish themes, and all of that, that's what filking is, filk singing or filking. And there are some that argue that the fandom around filking is just as important than the music itself and the culture itself, or the culture more than the music. And, you know, it's a lot the same way that old school fan fiction writers, fanfic writers who would publish zines, and then the zine culture was as important as what they were doing in some ways. Obviously not. We have the zines as record. So the way I knew Leslie Fish, 2 ways. I think we met once at one of those Missouri cons I went to in the 80s when I was still in Oklahoma, in the Midwest, with a job, income to go to cons. I want to say it was one of Denny Arnold's, who was Richard Arnold's mother's, one of her conventions in St. Louis in the 80s. Space Trek? If not, it was at KC Con, the one time I went to KC Con. I can't remember now. And it was certainly a time when, sadly, we didn't take pictures 24/7. You had to get your camera out, make sure you had a flash bulb, make sure you had film. Uh-oh, I've only got 2 shots left, and I have to do this later on. Do I want to waste a frame now because I'm not going to be able to leave and go buy some more film? I mean, that was the way you dealt with your camera, right? It wasn't just a whack, let's get a selfie, bang, and you're done. Which is why 200 years from now, people are not going to think that culture existed before 2008 or something, apparently. It's a little sobering. It's just like I think at times now people don't think that his actual living history existed, you know, before HD lenses, or certainly before color. Nothing really happened before 1965, right? Because if it's colorized, it's obviously double fake. And heaven forbid something occurred before there was motion pictures. Still images, how easy to fake is that? No. Filking was a term that I came into contact with in the 80s when my fandom grew and I got into fandom leadership and conventions. And by the 80s and 90s, filking was a thing. It was not my thing, but the devotees not only wanted to talk, but filk circles. Oh my God, go to any lobby at a con hotel from the 90s onward, the late 80s onward. And there's the filkers over in the corner doing their thing. They'll be there for 4 hours till the last one falls asleep, if ever, in a filk circle. There's also published articles. I'm sure there is academia about filking, published songs, collections, music. You know, a lot of it's the melodies taken over with new lyrics written. Sometimes you've got new melodies written, and a lot of semi-professional, professional, highly trained amateurs doing the music. And that's where my knowledge of Leslie Fish comes from, because back in the day when we didn't have a whole lot, I stumbled across this album, and heaven forbid I find out that this wasn't even the first. Yeah. Solar Sailors is the name of the album. The D-Horn Crew is the name of the band. There they are. And the woman here on the right, boom. There's Leslie Fish. Now, the D-Horn Crew, I found this at a con. I surely didn't find it in a record store. And yeah, this is the one with if there was ever one, I could look at these song titles. See the top song of side 2, Band from Argo. So I don't know. I was not a big folk singer. I didn't get off on this a lot. It was just cool to know. I might have even been introduced to Band from Argo from Dr. Demento because of the eclectic range of stuff he played. That's how I found all the early Trek parodies. Star Trip and Star Trek. Right. They even had a Planet Argo, I think, in one of those. Yeah. The booby prized Mr. Schlock. Yes. That eclectic range may have been actually how I first heard Band from Argo. Because Band from Argo is a chorus and a verse. And there's a verse for every original series crew person because, kids, this is 1977. There was no bloody A, B, C, or D. There was a verse for every character, from Kirk on down. And the chorus was the whole thing was about a body shore leave. Everybody got wild and drunk, and it's what happened to everybody on the. And the name of the song was, and we're banned from Argo, everyone. And we're banned from Argo just for having a little fun. We took a body shore leave there, da-da-da-da-da-da. But Argo wouldn't something ever again. Anyway, I obviously should have re-listened to it before. But it's a cute song. Band from Argo is the song that never got old for me. The one that did was Klingons off the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. I'm the same way as Grace Lee Whitney. My famous memory of her the first time I met her was she and her then husband manager. There were about 10 kids sitting just beyond their autograph table at a con in Dallas. And they had been doing Klingons off the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. They had been doing all 47 verses of that for about, 17 straight hours. And finally, her husband manager said, guys, can you just give it a rest? And I was like, thank you. Band from Argo is fun. But that's a whole album here. There's a Starwind Rising is more of what actual Filk tended to be, which is kind of haunting ballads. A lot of things out of the Celtic, all of that. Look, as I read her biography, Leslie was a member of the SCA, and if that's faded from popular culture frontline, that's the whole medieval recreation, Society for Creative Anachronism. And the whole country, instead of being divided up into star bases and starships, was divided up into kingdoms and shires and incipient shires. That's startup. Anyway, your city was a shire. Norman was very famously Namron. Oh, they spelled it backwards. How clever. Onstiora was Texas and Oklahoma's kingdom. Anyway, everybody role played. You had a character. You did that. You made up the backstory. You researched it. You could get off into all the different areas of, the fighters and the fighting practice was what got a lot of the guys. But you could do arts, crafts, dancing. You could do food, and there would be the encampments, the tournaments. What's the word for the things on the weekend? Well, it's, how I am about anything medieval, guys. Not my bag. Almost every single one of my friends, yes. Me, not so much. Why go out in somebody's pasture in the middle of August in Oklahoma and sweat? Okay. Side story. I only go there in case you don't know about the SCA because that was part of her interest pool too. Look, this is original fandom, guys. It's the 70s and 80s, and I'm reading this. It's what made me think. First of all, when I heard she'd passed, I was sad because I'd actually wanted to get back in touch. Hey, guesting on podcasts, talking, doing some historical firsthand, research. That would be great. Number two, apparently, I never got the album signed. Like I said, I may have met her once in person without this handy. Would have been nice to have had an autograph on an album. But that's the music side. Apparently, she did that for years. She was in SCA. What the other thing I knew, though, and it's funny because this just came up. A lot of you that are, if you're watching, if you're listening to the Trek Files, you know we just talked about letters that were in Interstat, the letter comment zine or Loke zine, that went for 15 years until finally the internet caught up with what fandom had needed all along. And the higher end of letters, not just the Starlog letter column or your little local kit. So one of the things I remember from Interstat for years was that Leslie Fish and another big name fan in those days, very corresponding, came out of zine fan fiction and zine fandom, Mary Lou Dodge. And a lot of you may remember Point Counterpoint on 60 Minutes. And then Saturday Night Live in the old days used to parody that with Belushi and Jane Curtin. You remember Jane, you ignorant slut? That was parodying the original 60 Minutes. Shana Alexander and somebody Hoffman, and they would do those debates. One would present a side, the other would do a rebuttal. They parodied that on SNL. Well, Interstat had its own version of that, and it was called Leslie and Mary Lou. And not every issue, but one of them would pick a side, and the other of them would rebut. The first one would write their piece, the other one got a chance to see it, and then write a rebuttal for Meyer. And this was one I just happened to pick out of the pile. So I think Leslie was 72 when she passed, and I have no idea what she's done the last 20, 30 years. She has a Wikipedia bio. But here you go. The theme of that Trek Files, where John was my guest, and we ostensibly did our fan mail episode of the season, except we took it all from fandom, Interstat readers' version of fandom, the Interstat readership slice of fandom, in reaction to the TNG news, which is funny. I've pulled from that for ages, but to put it in more context, that was Interstat. It's funny that just happened. I was just talking about Leslie the other day, and then I find out that she'd passed. Apparently had probably been not well for some time as she was in hospice. So this is from Interstat, number 35. It's from September 1980. So 9 months after the motion picture has time to finally come out and make its impact, and then the dust settle on everything we'd been through. People had been holding their breath for 10 years for a revival of Star Trek, and it came finally. And now what? As I had a friend that used to say, well, that was exciting for a moment, wasn't it? Now what? Leslie starts this Leslie Mary Lou off this way. Fandom versus Paramount, round 3. Let us just arise and plan, my fellow Fen. Fan used to be the old Fanish plural for fan, so just so you know. Let us arise and plan, my fellow Fen, for the movie, capitalized, is over and gone, and the bray of the jackass is heard again in our land. The Paramount pinheads, capitalized, have done it again. They've either trying for a new world's record in golden goose killing, or turning their company into one big tax loose write-off for Gulf and Western. Tax loss write-off. Despite the fact that the motion picture recouped its inflated production costs in the first 2 weeks, despite the eager fans who saw it over and over, despite its Academy Award-winning nominations, despite enthusiastic pre-bidding and reception and fan letters, and the biggest gross for a 1979 film anywhere, Paramount has dropped STTMP like a hot potato. Paramount has sold all the STTMP rights to an investment consortium, has asked Roddenberry to leave the lot, and announced that it does not intend to make any sequel. All those multi-million-dollar sets will probably be used for a tourist attraction amusement park. So where does this leave us? Right back where we started, team. If we ever intend to see new Star Trek on film, we have to begin the letter writing all over again. This time, though, let's try to get Star Trek away from Paramount. First, we must learn who now holds the legal rights to the characters, concepts, and name of Star Trek. If some new company has them, We must letter blitz the new owners into reviving the show, even if they must rent the sets from Paramount. If Paramount still holds the basic rights, we must persuade it to sell. Sell to whom? To anybody with the will and the backing to revive the show, to GR himself, to a homegrown fan-run film co-op. Anybody, anything to get that property away from these fools who throw away quality, popularity, and money with both hands. Seriously, for the last 14 years, out of love for a good piece of art, we have endured the tyranny, stupidity, and arrogance of Paramount Studios and seen from them only a chilly contempt for the value of their product, artists, and audience. Enough! Fans, let's go shopping for a buyer. It shouldn't be impossible to find someone who will treat Star Trek concept artists and fans as the valuable property it is. So let's start looking. Somewhere in the USA, there must be someone who can make Paramount an offer they can't refuse. Leslie Fish. I'm only going to read the first line of Mary Lou's reply. Very dramatic, Leslie. Now let's return to the real world and the real facts. Okay. Yeah, Leslie Mary Lou. It reminded me that my first blush when I hear that Leslie Fish passed is I bet so much of modern fandom has no clue about that name. It reminds me that I think of her for her music, represented by really and mainly that one song on this one album. And I vaguely remember, and there's a star wind rising, da-da-da-da-da-da, kind of a haunting ballad, but that was really the main band from Argo. If you want to say what thanks to Dr. D, maybe it probably had the widest. But I look at her wiki page. She recorded tons of albums. She was young in the 70s and 80s and went on to have a life. But did I mention that her biography describes her as an anarchist? Yeah, she was a member. She was a big Vietnam War activist. Okay, well, who wasn't? But she was a big member of the Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW, right? The Wobblies. There's a song. She has Wobblies from Space, may even be on that album. But here's the interesting thing. So she was like very leftist, very anti-war, but she was very big as a gun rights activist. Because I think she was an old school, before we had the terms, she was a survivalist. Because she kept thinking that modern society was going to collapse at one point. And she was interested in carrying on civilization after techno society collapsed, and that you would need a gun to defend yourself. Not as a fetish, but as a gun to defend yourself when civilization collapsed. So she wrote, he had an album called Firestorm that was actually songs that talked about how to survive a nuclear war. What? Yeah. But then she said about her anarchist brand, she said, what sort of anarchist future would I like to see? There's no reason for a government-free society to be nothing but agrarian or a bunch of farmers. There is no reason at all that it couldn't be industrial and spacefaring without a government. Okay. So Larry Niven, Jerry Pournelle, and Michael Flynn, not that Michael Flynn, the author Michael Flynn, co-wrote a novel called Fallen Angels, and there's a character in Fallen Angels named Jenny Trout, which is an homage and a complete caricature of Leslie Fish. Although Trout's a Marxist in there. So look at this. There's a difference between, it's interesting. But I just kept thinking, she was a role play gamer. She loved LARPing. Yes, she was in SCA. In 2007, she was a driving force behind the establishment of Fan Haven, a 230-acre private park in Arizona meant to be a refuge so that LARPers had a place to go. You know, nature, you've got landscape. It was a space for LARPers, pagans, naturists, SCAers, or SCadians, didn't know it had a name. I always just said SCAers, and other marginalized groups associated with fandom. However, representatives of the federal government have disputed the validity of the mining claim that she proposed to use to establish ownership. She also had a personal project to breed domestic cats for intelligence and other traits. She said that cats are about as intelligent as 6-year-old human child, except in regards to their ability to use symbolic language. And she was a big orchid breeder. An orchard, I'm sorry. Trees in an orchard that were rare endangered species. She was, but sadly, a more controversial side, in the last few years, she had some what amounted to anti-trans beliefs. She called it a transgender craze as recently as 2023, when she was 70, and tried to say that it didn't exist. But here she's got, I don't know, 10 or 12 albums, these books. And I'm not celebrating her life here for, sadly, those recent comments. I'm not trying to put a filter on for our time. What I'm trying to say here is that was someone who needs to be remembered for what they did earlier. If it's yet another person in history who their entire catalog of work, history is going to show to be out of step or wrong, that's part of it. I certainly haven't celebrated her. I certainly don't have 20 Leslie Fish albums here. But what I wanted to say was, here's one person who was anti-war, was a wobbly, and yet was a gun rights person, and did not share, I think, the prevailing reality about trans and trans rights in our community. And that's a recent development, the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. I won't give her a pass, but I'm saying maybe that's part of the equation here, which I didn't even realize at first blush. I mainly wanted to mention this is somebody who had an impact on early fandom in a big way, has a legacy through her music, and some of her pushy, envelope-pushing opinions that would seem to be progressive or libertarian until, sadly, she's gone this way with her opinion about trans folks in our community, which is unfortunate. You can write that off as someone who was aging and maybe suffering some mental decline. I don't know. I don't want to go that way. This started off to be just marking someone I think probably 90% of today's fandom has no clue about, and someone who occasionally, if you ever do come across band from Argo, you should know, was a big mover and shaker in the first wave and the second wave of fandom, and someone who kind of, even with the problematical corners, someone who kind of defies right out of the gate this put everybody in a box. Kind of funny that she was both anti-war and yet pro-gun, but also libertarian or survivalist. And was a huge Trek fan, and would put up with years of writing goofy back and forth like that. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, sadly, something that she might have denied with some of her beliefs there at the end, but in a bigger picture, someone who totally exemplifies IDIC and diversity in a way that in today's world we stick people in boxes right out of the gate. From in the day, the wacky 70s, beliefs and activities blended in a way that today maybe make us scratch our head, and late in life attitudes that make us do more than scratch our head, make us shake our head and go, I don't know. I'm not going to erase somebody like that from history, but it's something to temper with. Again, no cookie cutters. People are complicated. And just because we have the arrogance of the now, we have to remember that when we look at people, even in our passion passion pits like fandom that it takes all kinds. It takes all kinds. Anyway, it was a cool excuse to once again get out. I have Interstat from number 30 to the end, around 150. Ostensibly monthly, unless something really delayed Terry Meyer. Something needs to be done with Interstat. These copies need to be scanned and preserved as history, just like the communicator needs to be scanned like Starlog was. That's a project. I don't know who's going to take it on, but it needs to happen. And wow, filking is still a thing. It takes me back to the to those OG, the LitCon format. That the fact that filking is still happening is kind of a testament to, I don't know, the indominant spirit of all kinds of fandom. The fact that Comic-Con fandom and media fandom has frothed up here in such a big way, and gaming has left tabletop to go into video, into rights, and gaming revenues are bigger than box office revenues in a year. What a wacky world. People do evolve, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the not so much. We do know, and I'm looking at the great bird of the galaxy over here, that when we know that there's neurological decline, sometimes patterns, activities, beliefs, Picard wanting to make his captain, Gene wanting to make his Captain Picard a saint in the last couple of years of Next Gen. Yeah. We know sometimes cognitive decline, some of the intellectual creative decisions that are made may be a harbinger of that. So was surprised to see that's where Leslie went in her last years. But there's someone that, for better and for worse, for bigger and for smaller, someone that just passed, who had a huge hand in earlier fandom and earlier con life, earlier zine life, and even political activism that I would have been proud of until that last chapter. So I'll say it, R.I.P. Leslie Fish. Banned from Argo, no more. Okay, everybody. Just wanted to say that and let you know about those day one extended Cyber Monday sales. What do you think? I'm going to be curious to see if I stirred up anything in the chat today. Of course, if you're watching later, hey, sound off in the comments there. Had you ever heard of Leslie Fish? Have you ever heard banned from Argo? I'm not even going to say have you ever heard of Interstat, because I know that's going to be less than 0.5% of everybody on this call, on this Zoom chat. But there you go. Otherwise, we're sliding into the holidays. And hey, if you want to take advantage of some of the sales that I have or others have, go for it. But that's where we are. Happy December. The tree is up. That's where we are. So, yeah. We'll have news happening along the way. We're all still waiting to see what's going on. But I think we're already into our slowdown for the holidays, so we'll see what comes of that, right? So meanwhile, I do want to thank my Patreon folk. Can I just thank them here? Take a second. Well, I'm going to, because I do every week. Yes, my TTLers, the Trekland Tuesdays live bunch. Chuck A., James Kerwin, Deanna Hopkins, Halberd Gunjansson, Lawrence Todd, Chris Jiggins, Mitch Keith, Keith Rombach, Josh Patton, Branakashi Productions, and Comedy Forecast. And then our live wires, yes, J.R. Poole, Gary Williams, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, MJ Frug, Chris Garris, Brandon Coles, Dave Gregory, James, Jesse at Crusher Convo, Donna S. Runyon, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks, everybody, once again for being part of our Patreon. It's very simple, as I always say. It's $5 and $10. Patreon.com/TreklandLive for the shout out. The holidays get here and I get through my last deadlines. I promise you, live wires, I will get caught up on the original Portal 47 guest night interviews that now we have. Well, we've entered our 10th year. I think the first 5 years at least is an archive that's doable, right? And it's another Tuesday, which means right now it's another Tuesday for the Trek Files as well. It's out. You can find all the Roddenberries at podcast.roddenberry.com. We especially, or anywhere you get your podcast, but especially at thetrekfiles.com, has the documents, which is something just normal podcast hosts don't have. The documents of the week. And this week, there's some doozies because they're photos. They are photos from Raina's personal collection. Raina Estepinian was a guest a few weeks ago. She was hired as Rod's nanny when he was 6 months old and wound up being Majel and Gene's business associate, basically helped run Lincoln Enterprises, and then helped run the household. I know she was there for Gene and Majel's parties. You want to catch the Trek Files at thetrekfiles.com or wherever fine podcasts are caught. She shared some photos, and it's just adorable. It's a perfect little December Trek Files for everybody. It was so much fun, and it was so much fun talking to her, and especially her years going with Majel to cons. We've talked about that. If you missed the earlier guest visit with her, it's just a lot of fun. It was one of the most, one that I'd been meaning to get done for years. And we finally did. We finally sat down and got Raina behind a mic to talk about this. And then she had some wonderful photos she shared too. That's the Trek Files that's now up wherever you are. Please take a listen and a look. And yeah. There's the socials. Everybody knows, right? At Larry Nemechek on Twitter and Blue Sky smiling at me. It's Larry's Trekland on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, I'm going to do a photo dump. I've basically not done Instagram for the last 6 months. So sometime this holiday season, I have con pics. I have some fun stuff. I have so much that I have not gotten out this last 6 months that I need to. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed with me on Instagram. And of course, YouTube. Portal47.net. We just had the big sale that ends today, but you can come on and join normally. Portal47.net. If a big bulk year is not for you for that bulk savings, just come on and join us. We keep adding new members all the time. We're getting ready to hit the 60th, gang. It's going to be a great time to be a fan and be in a fan community, whatever that is. And we deep dive in Portal. I always wondered how evolving new generations of fans would be. Would people like me be repeating ourselves? Are you able to hit different levels? I probably do some of that better at times than others, but I just love our Portal 47 community, especially the fact that they are around the world. And we have Portalities in the chat today too. I know. Listen, if anyone, I'll just say this, anything across Trekland, you all know, the Trek Files, you know what I do here. Either way, if there's ever a topic or an angle or a person that you would like me to focus on, this is more current events, current authors, current merch. Trek Files is more about history or comparing then and now. But hey, I used to, when the magazine existed and I had my Q&A column, I'd ask people for questions for that. Well, that's gone. So I'll do this. If there is a person or a subject that you would just like to see spotlighted or that you have a question about, would like somebody to dig into it, let me know. Maybe it'll be something I can feature here on Tuesdays Live. Maybe it's something for the Trek Files. We'll see. Of course, January brings finally Starfleet Academy and the return of Dr. Trek's Second Opinion. I can also say that I am finally going to start posting season 2 episodes of Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek Watch Prodigy. I need to get that done when I get a breather here. Otherwise, 2026 is going to be awesome for the 60th and for a few other goodies coming up. But that's in the future. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been posting photos on Instagram so much lately. But that's all coming down the pike. Right now, I just want to thank everybody for being with us today on Tuesday. If you're watching later on YouTube, again, leave a comment. Surely I stirred something up today. and maybe you can join us. Like and subscribe when you do and when you can. Otherwise, if you're here live, I'll be back after this micro break and we will dive into the chat. Okay. Until then, everybody, hey, there's some weird bugs floating around out there as you travel and shop this holiday season. So please, please, please stay healthy, do all the things, stay woke, check the sources. We're in for some wild times here in the States, and I hear that it ain't much better around the globe. Whatever you do, trek well, everybody. Okay. Let's see who all's with us today. Well, look here. Who's still here after the introduction there? Hey, Dave and Christoph. Trekland Black is today, but Tuesday I thought was Giving Tuesday. In the States, it's when you're encouraged to give to nonprofits at the end of the year that you support, as you know, for tax purposes. Now that the end of the year is here, Giving Tuesday, Black Tuesday. Is that what you have in Austria, Christoph? Hey, it's Red Shirt Bob. Everybody's here. Gang's all here. Hey, Christian and Sherry Ma. There you go. Yes, my figure, Ed, had a very quiet turkey holiday this year, a working turkey holiday. But my Sooners are in the playoffs. No one expected that. Shows that defense is still the most important thing in football. Hi, Rose. Thanks for dropping in with us. Happy Fritters Day. See, this is what the world perspective is. It's Fritters Day and World Futures Day. Okay. What are you saying? There was a time when you had to take only pictures when you knew it was going to be important. Right. And what was the most important thing you did all year? Opening presents on Christmas, opening birthday presents. Everybody has tons of pictures of their birthdays and Christmas, maybe Easter, maybe Halloween. The little day-to-day stuff. You know, what's funny, Ed, is I have not even so much from home, but like college. I have pictures that you would go and you would take what you're going to take and you'd wind up with one or two left and you would just waste those so you could develop your film. And I have so many rolls where the one or two wasted pictures at the end are the ones that I treasure the most. Because the other, oh, look, it's one more Christmas. It's one more birthday. It's one more vacation picture. But here's this shot of the inside of our old home or my college apartment, or here's my two friends. It's just a day. It's the kind of thing we do with our cams, our phone cams all the time now. But I specifically remember in the old days, I'm just going to waste these last two. I'll take something just so I don't waste the frames before I have to go get it developed. So I can get, if I sit here and forget, 6 months will go by and I won't finish off that film. The film will be older and I could have had the main pictures I wanted already. That whole way of doing it. Yep. So boom, you remember. I thank you, Sean. Good advice. Oh, hey, Ed. Yeah. Oh, on the art, is that 70s or what, huh? Is that 70s or what? Orange reflection. Oh, look at the 70s fonts. Solar Sailors, all of that. Yeah. And you know what? I can tell you, the credit on here for the front cover photo by Clyde Jones. Oh, I guess it's the satellite there. Front cover design and artwork by Gordon Carlton, who he and his wife, I remember their names as letter writers in Interstat. The Dehorn crew, by the way, is Leslie Fish, Mary Froman, Robin Bike, and Kathleen Taylor, with guests by Carol Shuttleworth on a 12-string guitar and chorus on Band from Argo, and Lori Huff finger cymbals on Neutral Zone Romulan View. That was a song, Neutral Zone Romulan View. Yeah. Wild Blues from Space is on here. 7 minutes. It's a longie. Band from Argo is nearly 6 minutes. Yep. Very 70s, very 70s. Which Trek parody artist sings Pretty Fly for an AI? I guess I'm a changeling, Sean. I have no idea. I mean, I might. Oh, Andrew. Hey, Andrew, it's been a while. Good lyric sing along. Did everybody drink? Yeah, I thought about having a clip here, but I thought, you know what? You can find Band from Argo online. You can go listen. I thought I would spend the time and read her bit from her Mary Lou and Leslie. Jane, you ignorant slut. And see, people hear that now from Saturday Night Live and to have no context for what it is. And they just like, oh my God, how misogynist. It's like, no, they were making a parody of the two on 60 Minutes quasi yelling at each other. It was good parody material. But thank you, Andrew. Drink for all the old Life Support Live folks. What? Oh, Larry Nima checking across the universe. Yeah, I don't hate you, Sean, but good stop. Good. Rose. Top Cat, the most insatiable Top Cat. Yeah, I think she lived East Coast. I'm not sure. Like I said, I want to say that we actually met once. But you know, she was so not introverted. What I'm trying to say, so humbled and you know, she was a lefty. she was not about fame and fortune and ego and all of that. So she wasn't like signing anything. She would have if asked, I think. But there you go. But thank you for that. Yeah, it's one of those things you went, oh well. I would love to have her here to speak for herself. Now, apparently, where her opinion went here the last 3 or 4 years of her life, don't know what's going on with that. But I'm talking about the Leslie Fish from the first 65 years of her life. But yes, the Leslie Mary Lou debates would be fun to read. I'm thinking we need to do something with that. I'm thinking we need to do something with this. And I'd love to find, for one thing, I only have issue 30 onward. I'd love to find somebody that has the first 29 and see if they're scanned out there anywhere. I don't know. See if the Eaton collection over here at UC Riverside has it. Can't read the name Mary Lou without breaking into song. Just you. Hey, Sean. You're doing Buddy Holly, right? Mary Lou? No, it's Peggy Sue. Good Lord. Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to ask if Mary Lou Dodge is the reason for the trope of Mary Lou. Oh, it's Mary Sue. Forget it. They sure got the value out. Yes, exactly. Are you kidding me? They sure got the value of those TMP sets. The bones were standing for 20 years. 30 years. 30 years from like 78 to 2005. Yeah, 25. Well, there you go. 25, 27, 28 years, something like that. And if it wasn't the exact walls, then the layout and the grid, the ceiling grid for lighting, all of that. There you go, Ed. You can still buy some of her albums. I'm sure you can. She had cassettes and CDs and all of that. Hey, speaking of our Aussies there, our other one is here too. Hey, Narda, good to see you again, my dear. Yeah, her story just took a dark turn. But we gotta look at the whole picture here and maybe put some context to it. I'm certainly not promoting where she got to later in life. Well, I think I got a good idea about that. Yeah. Well, this is what I'm saying, Ed. Contradictive? Okay, yeah. Oh, wow. You have the sheet music for Banned from Argo. Okay. Well, look how corporatist. Or was it like hand mimeographed, hand copied? There you go. Hey, Pedro. Who is Leslie Fish? You have great timing, Pedro. I'm going to make somebody answer your question in the chat or rewind this when you can. Someone that passed away a couple of days ago, and I wanted to make sure that somebody said something about her, even for a problematic last few years of her life, apparently. The fact that she was not in anybody's, fan space, she wasn't turning up on Trek Movie or Twitter, with all that kind of shows it was a diminished footprint in, fan opinion anyway. Yeah, especially in the Trek world. Filker Leslie Fish seems to have friends in him. Well, she was more than a Filker, and I was going to say most of everything she was into, I would support and talk about till I realized the last few years not so much. Yeah, LARPers, live action role play. I was a LARPer NPC once for one of my friends before that was the term, like right before we moved to California. Going out into a meadow and organizing a thing and putting up all the stops and leading a party through a campaign. What is a LARPer? Boom, there you go. Live action role playing. So a LARPer is, or you can go, you want to go LARPing? that's the thing. Yeah. There you go. Well, our smart chat bunch. See, all the TTLers. LARPer is a step beyond cosplayer. It's the same. See, I thought in the beginning when I first heard the term cosplay, I thought you were playing a character in costume. I thought you were in character all day long. Otherwise, if you weren't in character all day long, you're just going in costume. So why does it need a new term? Cosplay had to be, you were going to maintain the character all day long. And some cosplayers do that. No, LARPing is basically doing it's like tabletop D&D or whatever genre. Only instead of having little characters and you're rolling dice, you're doing it live action. There are live action characters, and there are real life mechanisms to do spells and magic and different things. Yes. Small step. Yeah. Well, LARPing means you got out the door and you're out. Like your mom always said, go outside and get some exercise. Well, LARPing would be go outside and get some exercise. But you also, you able to cosplay yourself or design props or tricks that work in real life instead of just rolling die on a tabletop, or much less doing something on a screen. Well, Pedro, you're actually answering my question. One here. You would love an interview with someone behind the Star Trek Final Unity PC game. It was the 30th anniversary this year. 95. Okay. You know what? I'm not the world's biggest gamer. It all felt like energy down a rat hole to me, but I know it's how people keep Trek or anything else alive. Captain Kirk, I will consider it. This is the most useless chat commands. How about that? Yeah, well, live action role playing, you're playing out a scenario that somebody has scripted like a game. It's just instead of doing it as tabletop characters and rolling dice, you're up running around in real life, which means you need a real life place, lakes and ponds and trees and pastures and maybe some rock piles, something you could, maybe an old house that you can have for a building or something. Yeah, it's basically bringing a tabletop game alive using cosplay and props. See, I thought, wow, I'm glad I could bring that concept, guys. It's been a concept around for 20, 30 years. Yeah. There you go. Well, good. My work here is done. What I did not realize until just the last couple of days was that, as you said, somebody said, a dark turn there the last few years. But she was not part of corporate Star Trek. She was part of fandom. Filking, fanzines. She did write a book. Wasn't a Star Trek book, but she did write a book, A Dirge for Sabus. She wrote a story with CJ Sherry. I didn't know that. Offensive as Hell, The Joys of Jesus Freak Bagging, nonfiction. Of Elven Blood, fantasy romance from Jupiter Gardens Publishing. And then several short stories edited by CJ Sherry. The first recipient of the Nebulon Award inductee into the Oklahoma Speculative Fiction Hall of Fame. Yeah. CJ was like the most famous sci-fi person from Oklahoma for years and years and years and years and years. But they co-wrote, and CJ edited Leslie. See, it pays to read all the way down. And some fanzine stuff. Wow, she has several Pegasus Awards, which are all Filking Awards. From 84 to 2005. Best Space Opera Song, Best Sword and Sorcery Song. They're different years. Best Classic Folk Song. Oh, band from Argo won the Pegasus Award as Best Classic Folk Song in 2003, which, I mean, that's like old timers, whatever. It was 30 years old by then, 25 years old by then. That's wild. That's wild. Okay. Okay, Christoph, gotcha. I mean, I knew something like that, but okay, gotcha. What now? Oh, hey, VFX, it's been a while. Fun side note on release coming, the Criterion Channel has got a trailer for Carol and Joy, a film about Carol Kane and her amazing mom, Joy. Might be of interest in Good Talks down the road. Okay, this is a modern film. Carol and Joy. I'm going to write that down too. Okay. Yeah. Probably before the 90s, Sean. Oh, I wish I had a camera. Very good. Very few pictures taken of yourself as you've grown compared to other people. People don't really take pics of me. Well, whose fault is that, Pedro? Oh, sorry, Melanie. That's weird. I'm hooked up on the Facebook for the alerts. I'm so sorry. Hey, Bob Duncan again. Yes. Your childhood is in that cover. There you go. Lies we were told in the 90s. You won't have a calendar. You won't have a calculator everywhere you go. Was this a fan band? Well, it started that way, but look, they're selling. Yeah. Oh, it was, the album is copyright 77 by the Bandersnatchy Press, which was an old zine printing press. Yeah. God, these are recorded in April 77. Lyrics and music, copyright 1977 by Leslie Fish. Arrangements by the D-Horn Crew. See, I mean, there's music. You know, music is one of the arenas where the fan to pro bleed over leap might be the easiest to do, especially back in the day there. So they were all fans, I think, so more or less. Maybe Leslie led on the Trek. I don't know. I'd like to look up some of the rest of the members and see. Leslie was by far the most well known and the lead, and the songs were hers. Pretty Fly for an AI is star wrecked. Okay, see, I mean vaguely, but it's not in my face. Hey, Willie, good to see. Oh, Sean, I don't set it up as an event. Yeah, that's so I can slide the start time. I know I would be so much more. I would be so much more professional if I did that. It's kind of the roots of slidey whitey internet living. Hi, the Trek reviewer, coming in from Twitch, may I say. Tons of left-wing people are about fame and fortune. Yeah, I'd say it's more about ego than just outright fame and fortune. Collecting piles of gold. I would say there's plenty of room for ego-driven that. And then if the money comes with it, yeah. But just the nature of left and right, change versus status quo. It's hard to make more money if you change the status quo when you finally find a status quo that works for you. Would be a fun con thing, a dramatic reading of the letters as a debate on stage. There you go. No, Pedro, that's Mary Lou Retton, and she would have been about, well, this is from 1980. Didn't Mary Lou Retton become a star at the 80 Olympics when we boycotted the Moscow Olympics and didn't go to Moscow, but then we had them in 84? So if she was 16, she was 12. Mary Lou Retton was 12 about the time this was published, roughly. No, Mary Lou Dodge was a big person, a big fan film. We should do a Pioneers of Trek fandom, because in the early days, Pioneers of Trek fandom was the same thing as saying Pioneers of Trek fan fiction and zine editing publishing. Oh, duh. I knew it was floating around. Hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. Yes, actually. Ricky Nelson. Duh. There you go. Thank you, Christoph. There is a banned from Argo Wikipedia page. I wonder, can I do this? Oh, here. Do you want to, because it's all strings. It's all very, either hillbilly Appalachia sounding or Celtic Irish. Let me see. There's probably a, Band from Argo was on Dr. Domeno's comedy album, Hits from Outer Space. There you go. It also pokes fun at conventions because it's like a shore leave, like a convention. Yeah. The chorus is, and we're banned from Argo, everyone. Banned from Argo just for having a little fun. We spent a jolly shore leave there for just 3 days or 4. But Argo doesn't want us anymore. Wonder why. I'm just kind of wondering why they don't have. I guess not. Anyway, back to this. Where did she get to later in life? Well, we kind of went through that. Yeah. Leslie Fish is the first cousin of David Livingston, Oh, Sean. Oh, Sean. I mean, like yeah. Yeah, she had some problematical views out of the blue, apparently, about trans folks. Didn't seem to match up with anything in her earlier life. Speaking of things out of the blue, how do I think a Barkley relationship would be with Yar or Ro? You mean like a romantic relationship? A relationship relationship? I I don't would they both are kind of impatient. That's interesting. Yeah. I never would have conceived that. Are you trying to write something or just taking a survey or poll or yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Trek Rev. I don't have a better answer. You just kind of blew me away there. My first reaction is neither one of them would have the patience to put up with him. Um, unless, of course, they had to live through his brilliance, his wacky spectrum brilliance, saving the day somewhere. Okay, Sean, you've anecdotally heard sometimes people LARP in Trek gear and go to, yes, Ren Fair's acting like it's an away mission to an alien planet with recycled uniforms and sets they had lying around there. Yeah, that's fun to do. If all your costume budget is on Trek and not on medieval garb, then you do that and kind of tweak your nose at the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Final Unity had real actors' voices and set recreation in 1995. Very impressive for its time. Okay, from 95. I know that there was another, the Vulcan's Forge, Vulcan's Fury, that went away too, didn't get produced, that all the original cast recorded for. And people wonder where those audio tapes are. Critically acclaimed at the time, but it's become a forgotten game due to lack of availability to buy it. Really? Okay. If you saw the film role models, they cover it well. Oh, there you go. Oh, Melanie, you're just really old school. Filkers. Okay, playthroughs of Final Unity on YouTube. There we go. We are just communicating up a storm here, sharing facts. Elite Force. Wow, I remember when they were recording Elite Force. I went over to record some of the actors when they were going over to the recording studio. I remember, I think the first time I ever interviewed Robbie was when he got there, and I think he and Garrett were the same day, and Garrett was recording, and he had to wait in the lobby until Garrett came out, and then he went in, and we talked. I think I recorded it. Did a story. Just read up on Leslie Fish via Wiki. All I will say is that people who tend to have the most extreme political views on one side can have extreme on the other side if they switch. This is true. There's truth in that, Pedro, sometimes. Yeah. Throats, my eyes, and Pad need the rest. Okay, Rose. Good night. Sean, do I ever think some AI engine will take all my recorded stuff off YouTube and other sources and create a Leah Brahms like program of you in some future exhibit? Number one, who would want to listen to it? I get okay, but for every one of me, aren't there like 47,000 others? Yeah. Modern film, yes. Joy is about 99. Oh, okay. Got it. On the Facebook side, we're near the end of the chat. On the YouTube side, not so much. Is Restream biased? I don't know. Pedro, your knowledge of Leslie Fish is, as no fun intended, fish out of water. Hey, Trek Rev, you still think the Strange New Worlds writer's room missed an opportunity to tie Star Trek to Taxi? Oh, when Pella saw, yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh, actual question here, Narda. Who is the most prominent Australian involved in Star Trek in any capacity that you know of? Oh, well, there isn't Adam Howard Aussie, the visual effects guy, who was just an animator back in the day, drew phaser beams and things, but now he's worked on a ton of movies, and he's such a nice guy. He's been a Portal guest. Such a down-to-earth guy. He's gone into art. He does portraits now. He is... Oh, have we not had... Oh, well, Jess Bush is Australian. I know there's got to be more. I don't know of a writer that's Australian. But maybe some of the creatives, see, I had visual effects. If we get out of actors, especially the modern shows, the post-2017ers, the Kurtzman era, besides Jess, well, there's two. There's two I know of. How about that? Oh, you can slide the start time if it's set up an event, but anybody who's hit notify will get a notification once you hit the go live. On the event, not just the general go live. But okay, I should look into this. I should get looking at this. You keep checking, no one's on, and then you get busy and there's no audible signal. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Hey, Chris. I am having a good Tuesday. I've got some deadline work that I keep dragging on. Oh, Pedro, activists will always let you down. You try not to worship them, or at least have some awareness they're going to mess up. Well, they're human. Yeah, I mean, but I gotta admire people who throw themselves out there. Sometimes their idealism, we need their idealism to shake up the status quo, but sometimes their idealism will let things down. If they've got everything has to be perfect or not. Sometimes they don't like the idea of not winning everything at once, that you have to work and then work and work again, which might be like that flip you were talking about. When you were a kid, you thought you'd grow up to be Riker. Turns out you're totally closer to broccoli. Aw. Oh, any type of relationship, be it a friendship or the other between Barclay and... Well, see, okay. Are you trying to write a story with Ro and or... Who was it? Yar, Tasha, and Barclay? You know, Barclay's main arc with the world at large, the crew people, different ones, is that he's weird and irritating at first, and then after a while, he proves his worth and it's the story of anybody on the spectrum having something to contribute. At first, it's hard to take them or hard to live with them. But eventually there's ways that they can prove their worth, prove their genius, prove whatever quality is really needed, and people come to see that. So as an individual friendship, you could mirror that. God, I sound so smart, and I'm just totally BSing here. But you could have Ro or I can see Ro especially. Tasha's insecurity, and I could see Barclay devising a tech thing that saves lives, gets them out of a scrape. Ro, same thing, only more on the science commandy side. He does something that gets grudging respect, or even saves lives. The hokey thing is to save their life. But I could see something like that. But it have to be an arc. It's just not a general given, unless you want to jump in and just assume that all this happened in the past and have that color it. But I think it'd be more fun to take them on a journey on that arc. This is it, Secret of Vulcan Fury. Yeah. Secret of Vulcan Fury was the last time D. Kelly recorded McCoy lines for anything. That's been in my head for ages. And there's a few people that are on a hunt. The Holy Grail, yeah, the Ark of the Covenant there for them is those audio tapes have never been found or have come to light, if they even still exist. Because in 1998, they probably still would have been on tape, right? Really, Pedro? Happened to you with your trolls? They wanted you to look creepy, and YouTube won't take down the video. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Wow. There you go, Chris. Okay, Chris Hemsworth. 10 minutes on a movie. Okay, fine. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, though, been more. There you go. Oh, Melanie, we were all about the Ren fairs earlier. Yep. Wear Renaissance era clothes, but then a discreet communicator pin. That's the other end of this. Yeah, whenever he saw people in Starfleet uniforms playing away mission, then he would shyly slow them his badge and warn them about the Temporal Prime Directive. See? Yeah. I'll see your Starfleet away mission and raise you a little Temporal Prime Directive. There are no laws to stop AI from being used for defamation since it falls under parody, although harassment parody. There's got to be, with the increasing amount of awareness to harassment, there's got to be something to cover that. That's not abusive in the other direction. We're all activists in a way. You're an activist about certain things, like bringing attention to things that have gone unchecked, like my favorite Star Trek. Okay, well, I mean, are people's lives at stake? I think that's maybe the time I would. Okay, very true. There's actual fish out that have. There's lots of people with the last name Fish, but you're right. It's kind of not as common. Well, it's big. Australia is like the number 3 foreign market for Trek. So if kids grow up and they, there's probably more that we're just not knowing right off the top of my head. I see what you're saying. Okay, back to this whole. Boy, nobody wants to say Barkley. It's more letters to type broccoli. Well, does interplay still exist? I thought that was part of the problem here. There you go. Hi, Timothy. Glad you could make it. Glad you could join us, though, VFX. Yep. Good to see you, man. Trek well out there. Please don't tell me how to say it. It disgusts me. Okay. Am I at the end of a chat here? I seem to be at the end of my chat. I think that's going to do it, guys. Yeah. Reformed, but do they have access to those files, or have they all disintegrated over the years? That would be, if they have reformed and they've got access to those resources, that is huge. If they can find a way now with current tech to put that out adequately, that would be amazing. But it may be just the brand name with no actual hard assets involved as well. I don't know. I do not know. We should see, though. I hope we find out. Gang, I think that's going to be, yes, end of chat. Okay. Well, as it's the end of the chat, let me just say thanks again. We'll do that. And once again, real fast for anybody on live, if you are... Oh, hey, David. Did I get you in there? Yes, late, but you're getting the last couple of minutes. Of course, the rest will be up there in just a second. Well, there's owning in there. Is did they disintegrate without proper care? Yeah. What shoebox are they all sitting in? That would be that. Well, here we go. I've had 2 or 3 people contact me to help them because they've been on the hunt. Like I said, it's like a holy grail. It's like the lost Ark of the Covenant that's stuck away somewhere. Hopefully it still exists. It's just a matter of finding the trash can or the back of the dusty box that they're sitting in. Exactly. Gang, again, one more day if you're on live right now. T Public's 40% off sale is extended for one more day. All of my merch is at the Trekland shop on TeePublic, or you can use the links on the site. And go to my site anyway, because we're still having, for that extra day as well today, 25% off for a year of Portal 47, or half off for a second seat on your own customized Trekland Treks away mission tour for location sites around Greater SoCal in the coming year. That's good for a year, by the way. So let me know and put down the deposit, and we'll save that for you. Otherwise, gang, we're still the home of Trekland Treks. Yeah, get that second seat half off today. But look, once again, thanks and shout out to all of my TTLers. Thank you guys. My Patreon bunch. If you want to join my Patreon here before the end of the month, it's $5 and $10 a month. Patreon.com/Trekland Live. Thanks so much for all that support. Hey, a shout out also once again for the Trek Files. Raina Estepinian here, who was Majel and Jean and Rod's longtime house and business companion. She had so much to do with running the household. She had so many funny stories and moments with Majel. Again, but this time around, especially the photos she had, and Rod as he was growing up. Oh boy. Anyway, the Trek Files is a really unique one, once again, with Raina. Wherever you get fine podcasts, also thetrekfiles.com. And of course, I'm Larry Nemechek on Twitter and Blue Sky, smiling at me. It's Trekland for Larry on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I will consider that. We'll investigate that. Portal47.net. If you have no idea what Portal 47 is, go read about it, even if you don't do the special now. You can join anytime. We just try to do a big deal that's befitting the whole Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday weekend. We'll have the gift box order offer up very soon. If you actually want to give the gift of Portal 47 in an affordable way with something actually tangible to be not digital for once, with some goodies inside. That's coming too after today. Otherwise, gang, it's good to see you. We'll see what next week brings. Please, as we go about the holiday season, whatever you're celebrating, wherever you are, please stay healthy, do all the things. As you navigate this world of ours these days, please stay awoke, check the sources, and trek well, everybody.